Good morning and welcome to Impact on another Tuesday morning. I'm Russell Thomas. My guest this morning is Angela Wang. Angela is a great volunteer with the United Way of Fort McMurray, recently graduated from Westwood Community High School and was valedictorian of her graduating class. Good morning.
Good morning, Russell. Thank you for having me here.
Well, I'm excited that you're here because I love the fact that as a younger person that you've gotten involved in such a remarkable way in our community, and it's going to be fun to talk about the things you've learned in your time in Fort McMurray, but also you're about to head off to university and the rest of your life, so we'll talk about that as well. But let's start at the beginning. You said that you are a new Canadian. You're originally from China.
Mm-hmm, yeah. I grew up in China basically until I was 6 years old, and my grandma took care of me while my parents were here trying to basically set up a life for me and bring me over here. And I immigrated when I was 6.
We talked off the air that you have some memory of living in China and being in kindergarten. Is that what they called it in China? Kindergarten. What did they call it in your language?
Yeah, they call it Yuan, but it's close enough. Same concept.
Marvelous. And you have some memories of that? Yeah,
a little bit. I remember I had this super amazing teacher who was really nice to me, and she was always watching out for me. And we did all these cool things that I remember we did this thing with an abacus, I think, and it had these little beads, and that's how we did the multiplication tables and things like that. And I remember nothing about it anymore. I just thought it was kind of cool. So
very awesome. I've always wondered about people that come to Canada, and in your case, do you remember the actual moment that you physically left China to come to Canada?
I don't have any memory of the actual moment in time, but I have some memory of being at the airport and just how huge it was, and the feeling of people coming and going from everywhere. And suddenly it was 6-year-old me being like, wow, the world is so big.
Did you come right to Fort McMurray?
No, we traveled around a lot for the first couple of years. We went to Toronto first, and then we were in Ontario, moving around basically all throughout that area, like Toronto, Windsor. We were in littler places like Chatham and Sarnia for a little bit, and then we came over to Fort McMurray after that.
So how old were you when you landed here?
I think I was like 11 maybe, just the beginning of junior high.
So your junior high and high school years have been in Fort McMurray.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that you're very academically successful. Was that always the case? Did you always love school?
Yeah, I think I always did. From basically the first time I got my hands on a book and started learning new things, it was just like, wow, this is so great. I always loved picking up new information and trying to soak in as much as I could. For a while, though, it was on and off, though. It depended on my work ethic at times. But as I got into junior high, and especially in the last year of junior high, I was really thinking about my future and academics and how much I enjoyed learning. And I was like, I'm really going to dive into this and just give it all I've got.
What was your favorite subject?
Science. And now, as science branches off, I'm more into physics. And I love English as well, and writing and reading.
At some point in your journey through school, you began getting involved in the community. Mm-hmm. How did you start and why?
I think it was a slow process as I sort of realized, because I remember when we first came to Canada and those first few years and we were moving around a lot and trying to get settled, we had kind of a hard time making ends meet, and my parents were getting different jobs all the time. That's why we were moving a lot, and we always had a lot of help from the community. And whether it was from organizations like the United Way or the Salvation Army, we received that support that we needed in order to make a better life for ourselves. So now that things are getting better for us and we've settled down, I just felt like I had to give back, be a part of the support systems that always helped us and helped me get to where I am today and have the opportunities I have.
What do your mom and dad do now?
My mom's an accountant. She works at OK Tire, and my dad works for Syncrude.
So everything is, they've established themselves in Fort McMurray, and you're in the position where you've been able to give back. And I know that at some point you got involved with the United Way. When did that happen?
That was in grade 11, so 2 years ago, basically the summer after grade 10. I was thinking, well, now that everything's been settled and now that we're really happy where we are, it's time I get in contact with the community and try and be a part of the things that are going on. So that's how I decided to basically email the United Way and talk to you guys and see what I could do to help out, and that's how I got started.
So you and I know what the Community Investment Committee is all about. Mm-hmm. If you were to explain to the listener, how would you explain the work of the Community Investment Committee?
Well, basically, we have several teams, and I believe it's 3 as of now, and we listen to presentations from different agencies throughout the community, and they tell us what they do, what they have done, and what they're going to do in the future, and we consider the request for funds, and we discuss different aspects and share our perspectives on what we feel would be the appropriate funding for them.
From a real-world learning perspective, what has that process given to you in terms of learning?
I think it's been really good to just see how the process for getting funds works and how the different agencies, because they have things like spreadsheets for us, and they'll make presentations and PowerPoints, and they'll talk about all these financial bits and pieces and jargon that I don't really completely understand sometimes, but it's good to see what it's like out there in the more adult world where things are about finances and about advertising and how they do the things that are more business related.
So it's been useful for you.
Yeah, definitely.
I want to talk more about the things you've learned and maybe some specific stories of some agencies that particularly touched you. My guest this morning is Angela Wang. Angela is a volunteer with the Community Investment Committee with the United Way. She is in the summer of her last summer as a young person. She's about to go off to university, and we're going to talk about that as well and see what her plan is, where she's going, and how she's taken her brilliant academic career in Fort McMurray out into the world. You're listening to Impact right here on 91.1 The Bridge. Welcome back to the show. My guest today, Angela Wang. Angela is a volunteer with the Community Investment Committee with United Way. She's a recent graduate of Westwood Community High School. I was there, by the way. I got to hear your valedictorian address. Is that how you say that? What was that like?
Well, it was a little bit nerve-wracking to stand up there and have everybody have their eyes on you, and it was so many people there. But I think it was really great to be able to speak to my classmates and to basically talk about the journey we all had together and the stories that we'd make in the future. And I wanted to really emphasize that no matter where we went, in the end, we all started out with the same chapter and the same beginning, and that we're all coming from the same place.
I'm curious, that ceremony, I was there because Dylan graduated with your class as well. Was there a high point or an emotional high point throughout that whole, besides your valedictorian address, that really sticks out for you?
I think when they were just going through all the different people and naming each person, and they were all going up there and talking about where they were going, and they were all getting their tassel moved from one side of the hat to the other, and the moment just really hit home to see all those people walk across the stage one after another, like, these are all my classmates. This is really happening. Everybody is moving on to the rest of their lives.
You said you're taking the summer somewhat off just to have a bit of a break before, like you say, working for the rest of your life. Where are you going in the fall? Where are you going to school?
I'm planning to go to the University of Alberta, so I'm doing engineering.
And let me guess, what kind of engineering? Or have you decided? Or is that still open?
Sort of decided.
Okay, don't tell me. I'm going to guess.
Okay.
Mechanical engineer.
Very close.
Oh, which one is it?
Electrical.
Oh, that's not even close. So electrical engineering, and how did you go about deciding that? You're very academically, you had a very high average, one of the highest, I think, in the high school, if not the highest. How do you go about making that decision? What led you down that path?
I think that I've always made the decision. Like, I've always known exactly what it was I wanted to do, but I just didn't know the word for it or what exactly it was called. I've always been really interested in creating new innovations and new technology, and I want to do something new, like something where I'm always constantly learning and doing something that can make a difference and take the world forward. So that's why I was thinking about electrical, because from a technology point of view, we can do a lot of new innovations with electrical engineering, with electronic devices and things like that.
So this is going to be a really dumb question, but when you say electrical engineering, does that involve computers at all? Or is it different?
Well, there's different fields of electrical engineering, obviously. Some are more oriented towards like electrical systems, for example, wiring and things like that, and control systems. But I was thinking more to the computer side, maybe with computers and electronic devices and programming and things like that.
When you look back on your school career here in Fort McMurray, were there a few teachers that really influenced your journey? And if so, who were they?
Oh yeah, definitely. There are so many teachers that come to mind, and Westwood is really great because all of the teachers, they really care about the students, I feel like, and they get involved and they're there for you when you have questions. A few that come to mind are, for example, my math teacher, Miss Greenwood. She always got me really interested in learning math, and she had the best math jokes whenever we came into class. And it was just really great because it seemed she was really invested in what I was doing and really invested in me personally. And also some other teachers, for example, Mr. Baisley, my social studies teacher, even though that's not like the science aspect of it, he really got me interested in social studies, and I loved his classes with the discussions we had and with the new things that we were learning and how we could always debate and get our points of view across.
I had an engineer on the show last week who was DeAndre Wilson y Hirjarica, and I asked her the question of, what is engineering? And she gave me an answer. What's your answer? What is engineering at its core?
To me, engineering is about building the future, building technology for the future, about advancing society and advancing quality of life for everybody by creating new things that we can use to make our lives more efficient, more self-sufficient, more automated, and just things to that effect.
We were talking off the air that yesterday was the 30th anniversary of the horrible tornado in Edmonton. And I was watching an old documentary and reflecting on how much has changed from a communication perspective. So that was 30 years ago. When you look forward to the future, are there things that happen in your daily life that you're curious about changing and or improving? Specific things?
Specifically, I'm really interested in the space industry, and I actually did a science fair project on it this year. I was working on a Mars rover that could lift itself out of the sand when it got stuck, because that's an issue we've had with the past Mars rovers, is there was a Spirit rover that got stuck in the sand and they couldn't get it out, and they eventually lost contact with it. And I thought, well, that's a stupid thing to lose contact with a Mars rover for a while. So that's why I created this device that I called the RED, and it would lift the rover up and spin it around and find a better position. So basically just things that can broaden our base of knowledge, that can make what we have today better, or create new things that can help us learn more about the world around us.
Oh, that's exciting. You're already talking about Mars and you haven't even left Fort McMurray yet. Of course, one of the great achievements that you had, among many, you received a pretty significant scholarship from TD. What did that feel like? Because it was a huge amount of money, but how did that feel inside when you found out that you were one of the very few recipients across Canada?
It was just a moment of surrealism and disbelief, I think. The moment I found out, I always thought, if this happened to me, I would be jumping up and down, running around the house excited. I was just in complete shock. I was in silence for a while, like, this is actually happening to me, and I let it sink in. And the moment it really struck home was like, for all this time, after all my hard work, I'm getting some recognition for my hard work. That's one aspect of it, but also I'm getting the opportunity to continue doing what I'm doing, and to continue doing the things I love, because having the financial opportunity to branch out in university and take some more time, maybe with clubs and with student design teams, rather than having to take on a part-time job with student loans and worry about that aspect of things.
Well, you've earned it. Pretty incredible. Angela Wang is my guest today. Angela was the recipient of a significant scholarship through TD. Do you remember the official title of the scholarship? I can't remember.
TD Scholarship for Community Leadership.
Man, amazing. And it was a large amount of money. What was it, 40, 50,000? It was
70.
Wow. Yeah, she's blushing. I'm blushing. She also was her valedictorian at Westwood Community High School and an avid volunteer with the Community Investment Committee at the United Way. When we come back, I want to ask Angela some questions about her memories of working with agencies in Fort McMurray and specifically the things that maybe surprised her as she kind of went on that community learning journey. You're listening to Impact. It is a team effort of United Way, Fuse Social, Shaw TV, Fort McMurray, and our friends right here at 91.1 The Bridge. Hey, welcome back. Hope you're having a great day. By the way, if you ever want to go back and watch and or listen to some of the previous broadcasts, I'll tell you there's a wealth of information and great stories. There's many different ways that you can do that. Shaw TV on their YouTube channel is a great resource. They turn these shows into essentially half-hour television broadcasts, and we do appreciate that because it's a different experience. Having to look at my face instead of just hear my dulcet tones. We also have the show as essentially podcasts on the United Way website, and all of them are there. And this is a broad spectrum of community stories and people that are creating impact. Now, a young lady that has created impact through her work with the Community Investment Committee is my guest today, Angela Wang. And I love it because it is so important to have the voices of youth in our community be part of the work that we do. And I know, Angela, there's a huge learning curve when you get involved with the United Way, and certainly as an adult I've been through it. I really didn't understand what United Way was all about until I really dove in and started working with them. What was your experience, or how did that feel to you when you first really began to understand what United Way does in Fort McMurray?
It was just seeing the scope of how far the United Way was involved, because I always knew the United Way had several different agencies and it did a lot of different things, but it wasn't until I was in the middle of it that I realized just how many and how much the scope of the United Way's involvement was. From all the different agencies, from kids and children and youth, all the way up to seniors, like the Golden Year Society and the McMahon, St. Aidan's, things like that, just to see all the different aspects of community in which the United Way was involved. That was pretty incredible.
As part of your process, each member of this Community Investment Committee gets a lot of reading material, but you also have this opportunity of interviewing both the executive directors and board members of the various organizations. When you reflect on those interviews, are there certain examples where you went, oh my gosh, those people are so passionate about what they do? Like an agency that particularly touched you?
Oh, there was so many. Almost all of them seemed to bring something new to the table, something they really cared about, and you could see their passion when they were speaking about it. And I remember one thing that really struck me was my first year on the Community Investment Committee when one of the agencies was, I think it was the Rio Booth Alliance. They were talking about their new tutoring program that they had for children, ESL children. And that really struck me because I remember one of my very clear memories of when I first came to Canada and I barely knew any English and I was kind of lost and confused. There was this ESL program at my school when I was in, I think it was grade 1. And there I met lots of new friends and I connected with the people there and it felt like a sense of home away from basically everything I knew. So that really struck me as something personal to me.
You've been speaking English for a long time now, and this is going to be a very naive question, but do you think in English or do you think in Chinese?
I think in English now. I've completely basically learned all the aspects of English, and it's more, it seems more like my first language to me now than Chinese was, which is kind of sad in one aspect because sometimes I'll try and read a Chinese novel and there'll be words I don't understand. But I'm trying to learn as well and make sure I don't lose touch with my roots.
When you talk to people about the United Way and what you've learned, what do you tell them about why United Way and what we do every year to raise money is so important in the community?
It's just the impact that it's made to see the new possibilities given to the people that the agencies help, and to see the things that have changed in their lives. Like, for example, I know about I was a part of the Tools for School drive, and to actually see the faces of the children receiving the backpacks, and to see the smiles on their faces, and to see the result, and the human aspect of where the work is leading, that's what really hits home for me.
And did you ever have an opportunity to go on a Seeing is Believing tour?
No, I never did.
So when you think about the agencies, what are the ones, have you physically been able to visit some of them?
Yeah, I stopped by the Boys and Girls Club for their interview, and it was really cute because we walked in and we saw those little clothes hangers, and you saw the little kids' names above them written in, like, some of them were all capitals and some of them had misspellings, and it was just really cute.
Well, we appreciate your voice on the Community Investment Committee. I assume that that's now probably be in the past because you're heading off to university now. And do you think you'll continue that, your community involvement as you go on in your adult life?
Oh, definitely. I think it's made a really big impact on me. And I already have plans to get involved on campus. And you were talking before about the Girls Inc. And I was thinking about starting a new chapter of that at U of A, because I know they don't have one of those there. And I was looking into different things, and I was thinking of trying to get girls involved in STEM and just things related to that.
You're talking about the Brainstem Alliance that DeAndre founded here in Fort McMurray. What a wonderful thing. Yeah. I guess I wanted to wish you luck, not that you need it. Are you nervous about going off to university a little bit?
A little bit, definitely. But I think I'm also really excited to start something new and to move on, but also have some aspects of home with me, because it's nice to be pretty close to home and be able to visit my parents and to have a lot of my friends with me, because a lot of my friends are coming to U of A as well. So.
Well, you have about a minute left in the show. You haven't arrived at where you are on your own. You've had a lot of help. Anybody you want to thank for getting you to this place?
Well, my parents, first of all. They've always supported me and really pushed me to do my best. And my grandma, I'm really thankful for her. She took care of me when I was in China. And she's always been here for me in Canada as well. She came over with us. And she's always there to cook me meals, or when I get home from school, she's there to greet me at the door. So I'm really thankful to have her. And of course, all my teachers who have believed in me and saw my potential and helped me along. And all my friends who have been there so we could have a good laugh and so I can relax and enjoy my time at school as well as work hard.
Well, I'm sure you're going to do great. Thank you so much for coming in, Angela, and sharing your story with us, and for all that you gave to the United Way over the last couple of years.
Thank you for having me here.
Our guest this morning, Angela Wang, who is a graduate of Westwood Community High School. She was the valedictorian of her graduating class, and she volunteered with our Community Investment Committee. She's off to engineering school at the University of Alberta, studying I was about to say chemical, electrical engineering, and I can tell right now she's going to make a huge difference in this world. You're listening to Impact. It is a collaboration of United Way, Fuse Social, Shaw TV, Fort McMurray, and our friends right here at 91.1 The Bridge.